Hello world and welcome to Podcast in A Minor, where I bring you the weird little songs I write, and I give you the stories behind them. Weird stories, funny stories, freaky stories, or whatever the world gives us in its glorious mystery. And now, for today's opening song. Well, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I just ate the last of the fruitcake, and still I smoke like a half-hearted chimney. How did I forget not to do that? Happy New Year. In Romania they say, do a little bit of everything today to start the new year okay. What did I do all day? I saw my father-in-law. We ate a funhouse pizza. We drove around the old stomping grounds. Then my lover man read to me Fritz Leiber. Then I read to him Charles Dickens. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. In Romania they say, Camuțan cu sănătate, să-ți dea Domnul tot ce dorești. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hello world and welcome to Podcast in A Minor. I'm Amy Zollers McAnally, a poet and an artist, and I'm in one of my moods. Happy New Year! Yay! Noisemakers, jingle bells. And it's New Year's 2026. This will be weird in the future. You'll be like, oh, that seems so long ago. It's so I always feel weirded out when I listen to old podcasts and they mention something about the times, like especially COVID, and and there's like, well, that was so long ago. But anyway, we survived. And the opening song, this is Impromptu. You just heard, I don't even know what the title will be. I'm going to just call it Happy New Year right here. And you'll see in the, podcast episode what I ended up calling it. Happy New Year is probably good, right? Because then it'll become part of the times and the zeitgeist, and every New Year everybody will look it up and say, oh, I gotta listen to that New Year song, get me in the mood. Here are the lyrics. Happy New Year. I just ate the last of the fruitcake, and still I smoked like a half-hearted chimney. How did I forget not to do that? Happy New Year. In Romania they say, do a little bit of everything today to start the new year okay. What did I do all day? I saw my father-in-law. We ate at Funhouse Pizza. We drove around their old stomping grounds. Then my lover man read to me Fritz Leiber, and then I read to him Charles Dickens. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. In Romania they say, La mulți ani cu sănătate, să-ți dea Domnul tot ce dorești. Happy New Year. And they do say that. The birthday song and the New Year's song are used for both occasions in Romania, and I was there for New Year's Day 2000, Doa me, as they say, and that was something because, everybody back then was worried about Y2K. I was about 25, and you're worried about the world is going to collapse because of the microchips in the milk cartons, which I stole that from The Simpsons, but Romania was just an excellent place to be at that time if you were worried about everything shutting down, because, you'd go to the market, they would use like the scales with the counterweights to weigh your produce, your pumpkin. I bought a pumpkin for Halloween, and they had to go borrow the counterweights from other places because nobody had bought a whole pumpkin before. They cut them into wedges and wrap them up. And I did buy a wedge for Thanksgiving to make pumpkin pie. We had a Thanksgiving celebration for our Romanian friends who were not really exposed to that. Pardon. And so that's some of my Romanian experience. And that their birthday / New Year's song, the lyrics I included, I did not write the end of the song there, but La mulți ani cu sănătate means many more years to you with health, să-ți dea Domnul tot ce dorești, that God will give you whatever you desire, and so on from there. It's a really lovely birthday / New Year's song. So I included it because it was part of my tapestry. Spent 6 months there, 99 to Doami 2000, and lovely, lovely place with, Transylvania vibes. And really, you do. I would walk after dark occasionally to and from the Bible school where I worked. And you could picture the werewolf stories and the vampire stories coming true. Did visit after New Year's, sometime in January of 2000, a town called Sibiu, which is in Transylvania. And we did go into the Carpathians to visit an orphanage and found the birthplace of Vlad Tepes was like the same town or the next town over. Anyway, we stopped there and pretended we were Ian from Lonely Planet. There's a throwback. He was darling and running around and being silly because he was so goofy and so English, but not fancy English. Loved him. And my friend who lived in Sibiu, but I met at New Year's because she had come to visit. And then she had she was losing her voice and I was ready to go home. So she spent the night at my place and we got to be really good friends. She was from Ohio, Heather. Hello, Heather. I assume you're listening, right? Just like everybody, just like Ian from Lonely Planet is listening. Ian, bless. All right. So this is impromptu and on the fly. So I will tell you a little bit about a few things I've been doing here at the end of the year, just a few things to share. One, a few days ago, I cracked what I call the perfect recipe for pudding for pancakes. Did you ever go to IHOP? Oh my gosh, this was a blessing to me in difficult times. At Christmas time, they used to have eggnog pancakes at IHOP. I don't know if they still do. I haven't been there in a while. I'm sad to say that one time, and this was in this town, I went in a sort of difficult, I was like kind of used to the difficulty of like my marriage at the time. And felt invisible and had to get over that and everything, which I have. But at IHOP, they forgot my order. There were 3 of us, my then husband, my son, me. They brought everybody's food but mine. It's like, well, did you think it was weird to be bringing? I'm sorry. I'm going to just Happy New Year with positivity and kindness. But it hurt my feelings. Difficult times when my feelings were easily hurt. But anyway, I will go ahead and pat them on the back for their eggnog pancakes, which used to get in Columbia, Missouri. When things were, when my son and I needed a little bucking up, as it were, they put some kind of like creme pat, some sort of pudding in the middle that's eggnoggy. And so here's what I have done to recreate it. I used to just mix instant vanilla pudding mix with straight eggnog, and that is so much sugar. So this year I said, well, how about you put 2 cups of milk in your instant pudding to make it pudding style, right? I did 1 1/4 cups of milk, about a 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons of eggnog, which is 1/2 cup plus 1/8. So you have an extra 1/8. I had whipping cream left over from making fudge and I put a couple of tablespoons in there too. And then like whisked it for 2 minutes. Divine. I made it on Monday. I still have some. I may have to just like make a pancake for me so I can have some more. Because I think I've had it for like 3 days straight. What's today? No, was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday I made it. So, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I've had it. Now it's Friday, 2nd day of January. So, an impromptu New Year's song for you. And kind of came to my mind last night, and a totally different tune, but that's okay because I always know I can, fuss with the tune. So I woke up early and I'm in my kitchen tree and my mug wall and the sights and this mug that shows up in something I'll tell you about later. And that is that. That for you is pudding for pancakes. If you love eggnog like I do love it. Alrighty. Next thing I wanted to mention was a new book of poetry. At last, I released the ebook on the 30th of December and it came right out. Now, on Kindle Direct on Amazon, used to be, it'd be like 24 hours and then your paperback would be up. I did a paperback and a hardback and an ebook. And it told us it would take 72 hours, possibly, and it did, almost, not quite, to get everything up. But the paperback is up, the hardback is up. I ordered author copies so I can give them out as Christmas presents next year. And also the ebook is up, and it can be read for free if you have Kindle Unlimited. Otherwise, I think it's $1.99. I would have charged 99 cents, but something about it, they probably have raised everything. I know what is to blame for all the difficulties in our life, but I'm not going to get like that on this podcast on the 2nd day of the new year, 2026. All right, the name of the book is Am I a Poet in December? There is a song, go back 2 Christmases ago, find Christmas cookie wassail. And it starts out, Am I a Poet in December? I can't remember forms and metaphors. Where do they hide? And that is owing to how I do become a different person in December if I'm spending the year doing things like poetry and the lino cut and clay, which I don't do as much as I'd like to do. But if I'm doing that through the year, doing a lot of art things, doing a lot of poetry things, also working a job at a school. My cat just ran by. Did you hear her little toes, her little toenails on the linoleum, the 1978 linoleum, God bless it. Anyway, because during times when it was just about all I could do to keep myself together, I would start in September with our birthdays. 3 of us had birthdays, October, Halloween, making costumes, getting ready, getting in that mood and watching scary movies. November, the pies, planning the side dishes for Thanksgiving, as well as, charting the baking for Christmas. I mean, that just really kept me like, I have a purpose and I'm busy and the devil can't get me because my hands are busy, so lots and lots there. This book, Christmas night, like a week and a day ago, I was in the bathtub and I had been thinking on the porch right before that, I'd been thinking, am I a poet in December? And that line was rolling around in my head. And I thought, wonder if I could be a poet in December and just write about all of the baking and stuff, because I had just done the marathon of baking. I work at a school. Sometimes I take a day off in the week before Christmas break and just bake and put what in the freezer I can for gift giving, because that's gift giving, is the baking and the candy making generally, unless I end up making something by hand for little kids, like a doll or a little knitted critter or something like that. But this year I did not take a day off before the Christmas break, because Christmas break, the last day before, was the 19th of December. So I'm like, well, I got like 5 days before Christmas. What did I do during those 5 days? I got up and I baked and I candy made and I made so many rounds of fudge and so many rounds of marshmallows, because there's a lot of family, which I am so grateful for. I have a tiny family. My husband has a large family. So there's a little best of both worlds there, where you get the small intimate gathering and then you get the big, gala sort of thing with his family. And everyone on both sides is really cool and really kind. And I'm so grateful for that. So I really do try to, express my gratitude and love through the baking, but it was absolutely nonstop. So when I finally caught my breath on Christmas Day, although we did have a gathering the day after Christmas, but I only had one more cake to make, the easy eggnog pound cake, which is all outlined in this book of poetry. It is almost a method of Christmas gift giving through baked goods. Also, my memories of how I got here, how I got to this, insanity of baking at Christmas. And it's so hard to dial it back, because tradition, you bring something in, you bring in a recipe, you bring in a gift, everybody has their favorites, and it's really hard to, no, I'm not going to not make that cookie that my son loves. I'm not going to not make those marshmallows that my sister's father-in-law gets so jazzed about every year. And there's just no way I'm not going to do that. So being 50, how old am I? 51? I think I'm 51. Being 51, it is, yeah, I'm 51. It is, you know what you need to do to get it done. And next year, I still think I will, A, take a day off, and B, bring coffee to the big gathering, because there are so many people. There is always so much food, and maybe I don't have to bake. Maybe I just got to brew some coffee. So, all of these things. And I have had some coffee this morning. I am fast talking, forgive. But anyway, so I did start to write about the fudge recipe I use and how I came upon making marshmallows, Martha Stewart. And so there's a lot of things. I'm going to read you one poem from there. It doesn't even have a title. A lot of them do have titles, but this one does not. I'm going to just read it. It involves this mug. So picture this mug, okay? At last amusing moment to moon, to be one with coffee mugs secured half price at Walgreens 2 days after Christmas while picking up photo prints. My magnificently smiling, transcendent husband with his brother and 2 sisters. Yes, his baby sister razzed me when I, without thinking, truly did take the first picture without a count of 3. Her mouth in mid-speech quirk, her sister at an odd angle, my husband's eyes closed, the younger brother alone, attendant and correct. This I will frame, one for each of them, and pile into their respective boxes next Christmas, Deo Volente. Baby sister will thrill at my sass, bonding us forever. At last, a still moment to ponder the mug. And how does a $3.50 drugstore price / Santa-faced coffee mug become my sidekick for 4 feathery days? My collection of just Christmas mugs. Numbers roughly 37, I being full of years and half Christmas inside. This Johnny-come-lately missed Christmas even on the drugstore shelves, oh bless, oh orphan come home. Your inside glazed red, your handle a shiny dark green, your garb a marshmallow sky, raining disembodied darling jolly Santa Claus heads and brown snowflakes. Gingerbread maybe? Hold my coffee, baby, I thrill at the sass of you. To dwell among the greeting card rosy faces of Santa Claus and snowflakes of you, my new favorite. Here in the car, north side of town, gray skies, dispensary parking lot. I didn't bring my ID, so it's just you and me, kid, my precious. And this poem written inside a discarded cigarette box. A tranquil beat in a surreal and sparkling, idyllic, plentiful department store of old, where the elevator boy knows everything and no harm could possibly come to us. Thank you. That is but a sample from Am I a Poet in December, which is a collection, like I say, of poetry written in December. Started at Christmas night, finished it technically 4 days later, but on the 5th day I did some tweaking of poetry. So let's call it 5 days. Oh my gosh. There was a summer 2021, 2020. I don't know. I think 2021 because I did go to Costco, pardon me, with my beautiful poet friend, Angela Eureka Smith, who had a Costco membership and brought me along and told me ghost stories that had happened to her as we tootled through Costco. It was such a wonderful day. But then we sat down and had like a drink or pizza or something there at Costco. And I was telling her I had read that there was a chapbook that Rilke wrote in a week or something. And I really wanted to replicate that. I was, young and hungry. I wasn't young and hungry. It was like 4.5 years ago. So I was in my 40s, but I was very amped up at the idea of writing a chapbook in a week. And I'm telling you this, I've only done it twice. And if you try to force it, it doesn't happen. I wanted to write about dreams I'd had, and my mind refused to have good dreams. I don't mean good dreams. I mean compelling dreams so I did write it, but it was to me, it was kind of lackluster and boring. And then 2022, it was after Christmas. Christmas is such an inspiring time to me. And I just was gathering in my mind things I'd read, I saw that Tarantula book from Bob Dylan at the bookstore, the annual trip we would make to the Plaza, Kansas City bookstore, the Barnes & Noble that's 3 floors and has 40 in Times and all the wonderful wonders. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how I'd gone to Lawrence, Kansas, to see a friend, and this coffee shop that had owls all over the place. Anyway, that is Disembodied Poems for Wandering Ghosts, if you want to check it out. I got up in the middle of the night one night, started typing, and I want to be like, in the memory, I want to be like, I wrote it in 2 nights. I don't know, but it was not very many days. It was probably within a week that I wrote that one. And I was into a lot of less conventional poetry at the time, maybe Dada poetry, maybe like the music of Nick Cave and Einstürzen and Neubauten, which I always love them. But so that one came together quick. This one came together quick too. I didn't really expect that, but it was such an opportunity, it seemed, to wallow in like Christmas. I'm totally not kidding. I have so much Christmas in my personality. That might be annoying to some people. I can't do anything about it. I really wouldn't want to. It brings me a lot of joy, both in my faith, but also in the baking and in the decorations. Here's my kitchen tree, and my mug wall. And I do have roughly 37 mugs. I don't even think I counted this one when I did the count for the purpose of the poem, But anyway, it was such an opportunity to sort of wallow in the glories of Christmas without the, time clock over my head about you got to get this baking done, and this is when we're going here, and this is you got to get the boxes together and all this stuff. And the book, Am I a Poet in December, does address all of that. So if you want to know like all my deep, dark Christmas secrets of traditions and recipes, I don't include the recipes because the only recipe I made up lately is the eggnog pudding, but I mean, I do cite my sources: Rick Rogers, Christmas 101, Martha Stewart, Christmas from 1989. And so for me, it was a wonderful romp through the memories, my kid being little and putting the sprinkles on the gingerbread men and all that jazz. So I had the time of my life, if you can't tell, and I wanted to share with you that is now available free if you've got Kindle Unlimited. $9 for the paperback. I think $12 for the hardback. I had to charge, have to charge a little more for them, but everything has gone up, and I'm not going to address that. So here we go. Pardon, that is the new book. Am I a Poet in December? At the end of this episode, I aim to include the song Christmas Cookie Wassail, which first line of which sparked this whole project. And now I will address in the lyrics of the song. Yes, on New Year's Day, I did hang out with my father-in-law, also his lady, Miss Beverly, and my husband. We did go to Funhouse Pizza, which is just, I don't even know if there are Funhouse pizzas anywhere else. Probably, but this one is unchanged from, I'm going to say 1979, probably before that, but that was the first time I went there when I was 5 years old, and it was near my piano teacher's house, my piano teacher at the time. And then she went and had twins that summer, the summer after that, first year piano lessons when I was in kindergarten. And then she referred us to a piano teacher just down the street. I ride my bike there when I was a kid. But anyway, Funhouse Pizza. It's just, it's got this old stage. It's kind of sad because it's got this beautiful little stage in the sort of front. It's got like these iron scroll work around the edges, but now it is packed with extra tables and closed off, and there's no more country and western bands or what have you playing there when you go. They used to have carousel horses by every booth, and my nephew went with my husband last week. We didn't know that my father-in-law was going to take us again, and I'm glad he did because I didn't get to go. I was still baking, and so whenever it was, that was before Christmas, that he took his nephew. But his nephew was so disappointed because I think he remembered the horses. This was Beverly's theory, and they weren't there, and so she went and peeked behind. You know how they've got those they have another room that was closed off, but it was only closed by one of those little, accordion doors. And she kind of peeked in because she was looking for the horses. She's like, I bet they're in there. So we had a really good time. And she and my father-in-law, grew up nearby, sort of. And, near to Funhouse in town, and we drove around, and they told us about, they showed us where they had lived as kids and at other times in their lives, and they're pointing out houses of people I never heard of, but I kind of love that sort of thing, the I'm always obsessed with the history of a place, especially a place that is near and dear to me. This very house is my parents' home that I left for 16 years and then came back when my father could no longer safely live here, but this town is so close to my heart. I was 4 years old when we moved in. And so sometimes when I roam around the cemetery, I wonder which house, around, because the cemetery I usually go to that's closest is kind of right near the square in town. And there's a lot of old houses nearby. And I always try and think, I wonder what house they lived in. And I wonder where they went for their morning coffee, and stuff like that. So that's a weird obsession of mine, possibly. But I know I'm not alone because I do follow accounts on Instagram that show cemetery, the ones with the portraits, the ones with the interesting names, and the ones with causes of death. It's really fascinating to me because it's history. So I really did enjoy the romp through town yesterday with them because they are such pleasant and fun people. I'm so thankful. All right. After that, we did read to each other. Oh, I have to move my noisemakers, so let's hope that's not too much of a thing. This is the book my husband has been reading to me since Christmas week, and it's called Ilmet in Lankmar by Fritz Leiber, and it's like fantasy stuff and, conflict and battles and magic, and it's really kind of fun. I usually don't read fantasy, but man, I love to be read to, and he's such a good reader, and it's so sweet to spend that time together like that. Him sharing his world with me, and then I've been sharing mine with him from Christmas stories. I think it might have been Christmas night or near. I read to him, what was the one, A Christmas Tree starts out? He's like, is very much like, okay, I'm not comparing myself to Charles Dickens, but I am saying I was influenced by him, where he looks at a Christmas tree, sees all the ornaments with like pretty much toys, and which ones terrified him when he was a kid. I love that about Christmas, that you bring out your old stuff that you've had forever. There are ornaments on that tree in the living room that my mother needle pointed or got from Avon and originally smelled like evergreen, and now they don't smell like really much of anything. It's a very faint whiff of the evergreen if I put my face in it. But how they remind you. I mean, it's like something you bring out every year. Lots of things, like my son's little handprint that was upside down and they turned it into a Santa beard in his kindergarten class. Joy, right? Joy. So anyway, in A Christmas Tree, that is the one where he is influenced by everything on the tree to have a bunch of memories, like I did about my baking when I started writing about it in Am I a Poet in December. Then it goes to the story I read also 2 Christmases ago on an episode, the Christmas Ghost Stories one or something. There were a lot of episodes that year because the year before I had done Wassail Wednesdays as live streams, and it really inspired me to do similar. I already had songs ready because of that, because of Wassail Wednesday 2021, I'm sure you remember, and 2022 with all those episodes. But the part of the story in A Christmas Tree that is so dear to me, and I love the way Mr. Jim Moon reads it on Hypnagoria podcast, so check that out too. The one with the Cavalier in green, the man spent. There's always these English stories of people spending the night with friends or family at a big estate, but it's haunted. And this is a great moment because he says we, as my husband said, he's like, I like that. I like how he says we are not a superstitious nobleman. We are a middle-aged nobleman. He keeps saying we to refer to the person telling the story. And my husband's like that. He brings us in. He brings us along. And I love the part where the lady ghost comes in and stares at the portrait of it. First of all, she's messing with keys. She's got keys at her girdle and she's trying every key in every door. Nothing's working. She stops the portrait of the Cavalier in green and says, "The stags know it." And then you find out there's a whole, tragedy about that from 200 years before in that house. The Cavalier in green having slept in that room. And he's like, and we told it many times, the storyteller says, we told it many times before we died. We are dead now. And it's just magnificent. So I read that to him. And then from the Uncommercial Traveler, part of Nurse's Stories, which features Captain Murderer, which featured in a picture book when I was in my early 20s and worked at a public library, not looking to be in charge of the children's programming, but I had student loans to pay. And I was like, yes, I can do that. And had the time of my life. There was a picture book, Captain Murderer, based on the scene from Nurse's Stories when his nurse or, live-in babysitter told him all these terrifying stories. And that's what's genius about Nurse's Stories in the Uncommercial Traveler. So I wanted to share that with you. So we've had a really nice time reading to each other. All right. And I believe that is all there is to say. Don't forget to check out Am I a Poet in December on Amazon, and other places are picking it up too, because I selected, hey, let other places pick that up too. And it is no longer December, but I think for winter, and this is the struggle, winter is anciently, traditionally, a time where people slowed down and calmed down because, we'll use less energy. There's not, maybe we got to stretch the food, and it's very cold, and it's life and death. And so people slow down, tell ghost stories, and ponder, and survive. Our culture is not tuned to that. Our culture is like, hey, well, I do work at a school, get a couple of weeks off this time of year. Thank you, Lord. But then it's like back to it. I think I'm ready to get back to it, but at this, because I've been eating nothing but fruitcake and gingerbread pretty much. But I've been thinking about how this is the calm time of year for quiet, and I have not been I've certainly still, I'm doing a podcast right now, and I'm doing, I just did a book of poetry, but there have been many treasured moments of sitting by the fire and looking at the Christmas tree and reading to my husband and him reading to me. So that's that for today. Impromptu well-wishing at the start of a new year. The old has gone and the new has come. So I hope that you're enjoying yourself, and I hope that you're safe and having some moments of calm. Thank you for listening. See you next time. Am I a poet in December? I can't remember. Forms and metaphors, where do they hide? Do they lie flat under rolling pins? Or bobbing in the gin, pouring into a sailboat so merry with cookies will make Christmas cookies, cookies by the dozen to the power of 10. Cookies will make Christmas cookies until hell wouldn't have it again. Don't get me mad or am I dead? Taps of cigarette ash, banana strings. Don't make me cry or mightn't I? Stirring sauerkraut, what's it all about? I'm someone else, my apron's tied into the kitchen guide. Packing tins of ginger stars, carolers, all comers rejoice, singing one sugared voice, our sailors lost sailing for. Cookies will make Christmas cookies, cookies by the dozen to the power of 10. Cookies will make Christmas cookies until hell wouldn't have it again. Until hell wouldn't have it again. Until hell wouldn't have it again. Must I be Encyclopedia Neurotica? It's my rule in the play, and I must, and I must, and I must.